Hey, Doug, what do you want to do tonight?
Same thing we do every week, Todd. Try to record a podcast.
My brain's a rocket, can't sit still. Thoughts collide, they always spill. A million voices shout my name. Never boring, never tame. ADHD, we're running wild. Focus fading, chaotic child. Turn the volume up, take a ride. In this crazy storm, I can't hide.
Ladies and gentlemen, will you please welcome the host of ADHP, Doug and Todd.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of ADHP with Doug and Todd. That's the Attention Deficit Hyperactive Politics Podcast. I'm Doug. That's Todd. How you doing, Todd?
I am doing all right. I'm doing good. Yeah, that's it.
We're up. We're streaming. We're all working.
We're streaming. Our faces are
It's
on
got me.
camera, and we can start this over.
This is our take two for today's episode.
Oh, man.
We got about 5 minutes into the last
You know what?
one.
I think I'm going to leave the beginning in on the recording so people can see that, we have fun with it. You're okay with it.
Yeah, no, no reason not to peel behind the curtain on us.
Yeah.
Other than you might not like what you see.
I mean, in that case, you can go ahead and listen over on Spotify, and you don't have to see our faces or the slideshow. You can just listen to us talking. So,
And we do have a special slideshow up today. We've got the No King slides, a
yes.
handful of photos I took from the protest I was at on Saturday, and then a bunch of stuff Todd and I found on the internet.
Yes.
Large crowds, cool signs, anything that made us laugh or impressed us.
Yes,
That's what
exactly.
you're seeing right now if you're watching on YouTube.
Yep. And we're both on camera again this week. And I was trying to figure out, because I know that we had issues with Google Meet before, and I was trying to see if I could figure out how to get things to work better over on Messenger, but it didn't want to work. So I was like, fuck it, we'll just go ahead and use Google Meet. It sounds better anyhow. I was more concerned with the visuals of it. I was, and it wasn't wanting to work with the sounds and everything, and I wanted everything to work perfectly, and we got all that working, and then it wasn't picking up the sound of Doug, and you were listening to my responses to everything Doug was saying, and you couldn't hear Doug at all.
Which you could use that for some fun improv practice at home. Just take Todd's responses and fill in your own.
fill in the blank. Yeah, it's like
ADHP Mad Libs.
Mad Libs are like Cards Against Humanity. Yeah. Love that
So,
game.
as I was saying, I was at the No Kings protest in my local community out here in Port Orchard, Washington. Had a bigger turnout than the hands-off protests, no doubt about it. There was even two separate events that were in close proximity to each other, and I went back to the same place I went for last month, and I was back I was at the tail end of it again, but I was pushed back another block further than I was last time.
Oh wow!
So we were, we definitely had more people show up this month than we did last month. And looking around the country, all reports suggest that we far out exceeded what we did last month rather, at the no hands or the hands off protest. No hands, kings off. I don't know. I'm getting all confused.
No, King. Oh, there it is. I was like, "Where's my phone?"
Off with the king's hands. That's what it is.
Yeah.
But even in our just in Washington State alone, though, we look at Kitsap Sun reporting on 80 plus No Kings rallies were planned, and I didn't even register for mine this month. I just went. I wasn't sure if I was gonna go, just the way things had been going. I didn't feel like there was a lot of momentum for a protest, and then bam, a week ago, Trump just sets everything off again, and I went from, am I really going to go, to, man, I have to go. Like, what other choice do I have? It's getting so bad the way that they're behaving in LA, and the police, they're creating spectacles out of ICE apprehensions.
I wanted to go, but then I remembered the last time I watched a a peaceful protest and people were being like shot at and 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 beat up. I was like, you know what? I'm there in spirit. I don't want to have to deal with the Seattle PD. So.
And 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 thankfully, in my little neck of the woods, it was another peaceful protest.
I mean,
it really was.
If I would have gone out to Port Orchard, I probably would have been okay. But coming to Seattle for any kind of protest of any kind. I mean, as far back as was it the WTO riots that happened?
Right. Yeah.
I had friends who were down there, and they said that they were shooting like tear gas into the crowd, and people who weren't even part of the protest. They were just people commuting, walking to the next bus stop,
And apparently tear gassing, we'll get to it in a little bit, but apparently tear gas did get used in Seattle this weekend.
Oh, I have no
doubt. But if it's anything like with LA, it's literally the police are starting it in order to create a situation. I mean, Jacob Silberoff was on MSNBC this weekend at the LA demonstration, and he was literally, in the group of protesters interviewing people when the police moved their horses in and started moving people's bodies with horses, and then just started shooting tear gas into the crowd. And he's like, he literally made a point of saying, hey, this was peaceful. There was nothing wrong going on here until the police just started shooting tear gas and moving in the horses. Like they're literally doing what they can to subvert the protest.
Yeah.
But the real important thing with this protest this weekend is the numbers. We're kind of going to compare the numbers of protesters versus the numbers at Trump's little birthday parade. We were talking about that before we realized the technical issue.
We were talking I'm
about
really sorry about that, Doug. I don't even know. I mean, every time I do this setup, I have to do something different because it never stays the same. I can't sit there and just save the settings and it will be the same next week. It's never the same. I always have to do something to get it working. So.
But we were enjoying the. Todd was telling me about the squeaky tanks.
Yes, no, the squeak you heard in the video was real. It wasn't like a sound effect someone grabbed off of YouTube or TikTok. It was like legitimately. And the only tanks I saw were the Sherman tanks. I didn't see any other tanks, so I was thinking that the tanks we've been seeing for the past several weeks on the backs of trains were not going to Washington, D.C. They were saying they were going to Washington, D.C., but I didn't see any clips of the Abrams tanks. So.
Yeah, I definitely did see a clip that had more modern tanks than the Shermans because they like I said before, they were doing it in eras. Every section of the parade was a new era, which they apparently actually played "Fortunate Son" while they were doing the Vietnam era.
Oh, of course.
Which is like, you guys realize that's an anti-Vietnam War song, right? Like.
Yeah, people are, his supporters are a special kind of dumb. They don't.
They're very credulous when it comes. There are people that don't trust anything they hear, except they'll trust everything Trump says. It's kind of, it racks my brain to consider how their minds work. But I was trying to find some accurate numbers on how many people actually showed up to the Trump parade. And, of course, the Trump regime is all saying 250,000. Like, they have this number cooked up. It's 250,000 on the 250th birthday from Project America 250. Like,
they're like, hey, that sounds like a good number. We'll use that number. People won't know any different, right?
And it looked like maybe there was a few tens of thousands. Like, I really haven't seen enough to say, and that's why.
I've seen 20K, I've seen 15, I've seen 10. It's not as much as Fox is saying. It's definitely not as much as what he is saying.
It's not like the Trump admin has ever lied about crowd size before.
Oh yeah, that's their go-to. It's like, oh yeah, no, I'm 9.5 inches and 2.5 pounds.
Those alternative facts
of bullshit. Okay, Cool. Yeah. But yeah. It just every time I see a video of somebody who's spouting how great Trump is and how we're the ones who are being misled by the mass media, mainstream media. You guys, shouldn't be listening to the mainstream media. It's like, yeah, you listen to Fox News, and Fox News, whether you like it or not, is mainstream media. So,
I mean, it's pretty much the sugar pop of media at this point. Like, it really is it is mainstream for dummies.
It's news in name only.
Right. It's propaganda. It's always, MAGA propaganda.
It's always been ever since they announced W as the winner of that election. I've always considered them as misinformation. So.
Oh yeah, I mean they were really started back in 95, 96.
Yeah, but they didn't really take
propaganda machine.
They didn't really take off as a propaganda machine until Bush was in office, Junior.
Yeah,
W.
Right. And he got all his
because
basically Fox News became like you'd leave the Bush administration and go work for Fox News is basically how the cycle would go.
Yeah.
Like anybody, like pretty much every single person that worked as a Bush like press secretary went on to host a show on Fox.
Yeah.
Now that's not to say Democratic press secretaries haven't gone on to MSNBC or whatever.
Yeah.
But Fox pioneered that. I mean, really, just like every single one, they'd leave the White House and go have a show.
Yeah, you know what I did yesterday that I thought I didn't think I'd ever do. I downloaded Truth Social and set up an account because I wanted to see what people were saying.
Did you post our show on there?
I did not, and I'm going to be a lurker on there. I'm not going to be posting.
Oh, okay.
Because I would like to be able to go in there and see what's being said without having, my account being like shadow banned and whatever else will happen, like not being able to see things. So, when we're offline, I'll tell you the username and you'll have a good chuckle. But yeah, no, it's I was just because I wanted to see if Donnie was like. He was rage tweeting or whatever, I wanted to see what he was saying about yesterday's parade,
He looked, the video I saw of him, he looked, I don't know if he was falling asleep.
Yes. There's people are saying he is falling asleep or he's very, very depressed or a combination of the two. I mean, there was one where he looked like he was sobbing. He looked like he was just like, oh, there's nobody here. And someone was like, it looks like his wife is like trying to not show emotion, but she looks like she's trying to stifle some laughter.
Well, I was going to say, she looked the happiest I'd ever seen her.
And she never cracks a smile, ever. She's like a stone fucking statue of like some Eastern European fucking woman who could possibly be a man. So
possibly.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
I think it's more likely she's a man than Mrs. Obama.
Oh,
remember how people are always saying that she looks like she has an Adam's apple. Look at those arms. She looks like a dude.
Well, and remember when she was criticized just for baring her arms, just for having sleeveless dresses, and then we get Melania, who's literally been a porn star.
Yeah,
nobody cares.
Oh, and everyone thinks she's fucking gorgeous, and maybe it's because of her time with the Donald, but she just looks like she's the most unhappy person I've ever seen on TV anywhere ever. Always has this stern will you shut the fuck up look on her face, and she just doesn't look happy. She looks like she's there for the money. And
always looking to, she's contractually obligated to be there.
Those are the words I was looking for. Contractually obligated to be there. And you can always tell when someone doesn't. For example, the people who were marching in that parade did not look like they wanted to be there. They were not marching, they were walking.
No, that's something I was going to get to in a bit. Yeah, there's a lot of thought out there
Oh.
that the army specifically was kind of giving a middle finger to Trump
Yeah, it
with
was
their lack of
silent
regimented.
protest. Yeah,
Yeah,
I've seen a number of military people do videos saying and doing commentary while watching the parade, saying these people aren't marching. These guys are doing a silent protest. How
yeah,
can
they're
I?
just walking,
They're just walking. They're not stepping in.
strolling.
They're not stepping in time. They're not in sync with everybody else in the group. They're all just kind of meandering down the street. You know.
Yeah, I noticed it right away. I was like, oh, their hands are all over the place, and they're just like they just look like a group of people walking. They're not. There's
Yeah.
literally no rhythm or anything, and I was like, this is great.
Yeah, yeah, and like I said, the last one I saw was she was like a sergeant, like a drill sergeant even, and she's like, if these were my guys, they would be getting a talking to, because that was not a march, that was we're all in our fatigues and we're walking down the street behind some heavy artillery, but we're not marching. Yeah.
Yeah, they were definitely, and there was like apparently a guy that was like holding a drone over his head.
I saw that. Oh my god!
I don't know what that was about.
I think he broke it. I don't know. Oh man.
But what I was wanting to get to right when we were realized our technical issue before is I was about to ask Todd about the 3.5% rule. I don't remember if I brought this up on the Hands Off podcast or not.
You probably did.
But do you know what the 3.5% rule is, Todd?
I do not know off the top of my head what that is, or even what it
So
means.
So it has to do with movements, political movements, and basically it comes from a really great person to check this out from is Erica Chenoweth. She does a TED Talk on it, and she's written some articles on it. She's a professor of the First Amendment and academic dean for faculty engagement at the Harvard Kennedy School, which is the school that put out this study to begin with. And so it shows that when you get over 3.5% of a population to engage in a movement, that movement has never failed to create change. So that's the one big finding. The other big finding of this is that research shows that nonviolent protests are twice as likely to succeed as armed conflicts. So basically, it was a study of the, I want to say it's primarily the 20th century, but it may have included the 19th century as well. But comparing how different movements achieved successful change when it comes to like a military uprising versus a peaceful protest movement. And a lot of times military uprisings are short-lived successes, whereas an actual movement that gets more than 3.5% of the population involved to actually activate and engage, they have never failed. And that's only 3.5%. So with Hands Off, I think on the high end, the estimates were about 5 million, I think, for the Hands Off protests.
Okay.
And there's currently 340 million people in the U.S. So 5 out of 340 is only like 1.5%. What, according to so a lot of the estimates right now from like the ACLU are also in the 5 million range. However, according to the Alt National Park Service, which, you can dispute their numbers, but they reportedly have, let me just read what they had for you. If I can pull them up on Facebook. Again, like we mentioned last week, if you aren't following the Alt National Park Service on your favorite social media platform, you better get on it, because these are people that are plugged in. Oh, I love it when you have something on Facebook and then Facebook decides it's time for you to just go back to the homepage and see the top
time
of your feed.
to refresh what you're looking at. Yeah, this is why.
And I was even on their page. I wasn't even on my own feed.
Oh man. Well, what happens is, anytime you find something you want to come back to, always hit the save button, because otherwise it will just refresh and then take you to whatever's more current.
So how the Alt National Park Service came up with their number was that they had over 140,000 coalition members attend events across the country, at least one at nearly every protest. Many traveled far and got to see some amazing small towns along the way. Local authorities provided crowd estimates, which were then reported back and compiled for the final count. So that's how Alt National Park Service is claiming they did it. They claim that they have over 140,000 coalition members at events, and that this is totaling crowd estimates from local authorities. The final number that they came out with was 13.14 million across 2,300 events.
Oh, wow. That's a lot of people.
So doing the math on that, 13.14 divided by 340.1, that is 3.86%. That's over 3.5. So if these numbers are correct, we fucking got there. Like, now it has to be sustained. It can't just be, oh, at a high water mark you had 3.5%, therefore your movement's gonna succeed. It's not a magic number in that way. But if the 3.5% that were out there are as engaged as you would think they must be to have gone out there in the first place, and if they each represent at least one other person that thinks like them but wasn't able to go, like the way you weren't able to go, right? Like, if I know my wife also thinks like me and she wasn't able to go. So even if we only represented one other person, now we're at like 7%. So if we can maintain this 3.5+% of engagement, then some sort of change is inevitable.
Right.
And that's the thing that's extremely optimistic about this protest, because I was super fired up about the hands-off protest. But in the wake of it, people are like, all right, let's plan another one. And it was just like, are people going to get protest fatigue? Are people going to be worn out by it? Are people going to be put off by, is the Trump regime going to successfully turn people away from wanting to protest with their big shows?
I hope people never stop protesting with this guy, because...
Well, they certainly haven't. It's only more now. It's only, if the numbers are correct by the National Park Service, it more than doubled from 1 month to the next. So I think they're doing the right thing, not trying to have these every single week or every 2 weeks. I think doing another big one in July or August is a great way to do it.
Yeah.
But it's just, I do think it's turning people's minds. It's giving Republicans that are stuck supporting Trump somewhere to turn. And I'm specifically talking about like the people in office. They can say, oh, hey, there are people here that will protect me. I don't have to worry about the crazy Trump people. So we did it. We achieved the 3.5% on this protest. Can we keep it going? We got to everybody's got to stay engaged. Keep calling your representative. Keep calling your senator. Even if you're in a blue state like we are, you want to make it absolutely clear that you're expecting to see Democrats do something.
Yeah.
Make it absolutely clear. Leave them a voicemail. Leave them an email. Hey, I find this unacceptable. Please make sure you're doing everything you can. Like Senator Padilla was shoved out of a Christine Nome press conference.
Yeah. He was just asking
you need
questions.
to be calling your senators and say that you got to stand up for your fellow senator. And
yeah, I mean they forced him out. I mean they like grabbed him and like I have a question. I'm so and so, and they're like they just pushed him out.
And they tried to just give a completely alternative accounting of events to the press.
Like he
tried to say
he
rushed the stage.
lunging.
Tried to say that they didn't know who he was. He didn't identify himself. When the video shows him identifying himself.
Yep.
And he even talks about how he was let in by the federal agents.
Yeah.
So, getting back to the No Kings protests on Trump's birthday, I'm going to look now to an NPR article, 3 takeaways from the military parade and No Kings protests. So the U.S. Army celebrated its 250th anniversary on Saturday with a massive military parade in Washington, D.C., against the backdrop of political division and protests savaging President Trump rippling across the country. Trump, whose 79th birthday, God, he's old, corresponded with the Army anniversary, had long dreamed of holding such a display of America's military might. The parade stirred up controversy for what opponents view as a politicization of the nation's armed forces and a break from U.S. democratic norms, and sparked an organized No Kings protest movement across the country on Saturday. So I wouldn't say this parade itself is what sparked the protests, but it certainly contributed to it. And for what it's worth, if this was something we did, like if every July 4th we had some sort of military parade, and there was tradition to it, I would still call it a waste of money, but I would still be like, whatever. It's the fact that Trump had to come up with it and make it for him. That's what really bothers me about it.
Yeah.
Is it's like, this isn't something we do. This isn't money we need to spend. This isn't a tradition we're upholding. You saw something in France that made Macron look cool, and you're like, why doesn't the American president do this? I mean, that's really what happened. Is Trump saw, it was like 2017, 2018, he was visiting France on their Bastille Day parade, and he's like, oh yeah, I want this for me.
I mean, yeah, okay.
Right. It's just as usual, his head and his heart are both in the wrong place on doing this move. Even if you think, honoring the Army on its 250th birthday is a noble thing to do in some way, the way it was brought about is heinous.
Right.
So first takeaway from NPR: stormy clouds didn't rain on the parade. It featured dozens of armored tanks and artillery vehicles such as HIMARS, aircraft, Black Hawk helicopters and Apaches, and more than 6,000 uniformed troops. The idea was to walk viewers through the history of American military conflict, with some historical uniforms and vehicles being used. I mean, not to mention we have museums and stuff. We don't need to drive tanks down our city streets in order to honor the memory of past military conflicts, especially when we're supposed to be anti-war these days. NPR also reports that there were 34 horses, 2 mules, and 1 dog, a blue heeler named Doc Holliday. And how close to that dog do you think Trump was at any point? Because dogs do not like Trump. He cannot be around dogs because dogs are too good of a judge of character.
Well, I think they also smell his full diaper, so they're like, get away from me, you stink.
I saw when I was researching stories for the parade, I saw one headline. I didn't click on it, but there was one headline that was like, was Trump wearing a catheter at the UFC event?
I saw that. Yeah, I saw that. That's so funny.
The second takeaway from NPR is that Trump got the thing he has wanted for years. And apparently after Trump's speech at the parade, he was given a folded American flag, which is like usually what you give the next of kin when a soldier has died. Like
right.
it's what you give the wife or the child when their husband or father has been killed in war. Like, or even or if they die at old age, when my grandfather on the maternal side passed, my grandma received a flag. When other people that my dad served with passed, in their, from alcoholism or anything like that, like, their son received a flag. Like, it's supposed to be a solemn commemoration of, and again, it's always when someone has passed away. Like, I don't know why they gave him a folded up flag other than to say that he's killed America or something.
That's fucking hilarious.
I mean, we were talking about the silent protests of the military not being very regimented in their marching and their regulation. Could that have been part of the protest? Here's a dead cat.
It's very possible, I think.
And then number 3, protests spring up across the country. No Kings protests rippled peacefully across dozens of cities in the U.S. Organizers estimated that more than 5 million people, we're now saying over 13 million people, participated in more than 2,000, we're now saying more than 2,300 planned protests, according to spokesperson Eunice Ortiz. While protests were peaceful, police in Culpeper, Virginia arrested a man who, quote, intentionally accelerated his vehicle into the dispersing crowd at the end of a protest. One person was hit, but thank God no one was hurt, police said. Which also, like, I don't know if you saw this, but leading up to the weekend, Ron DeSantis in Florida, he was telling people, like, if you fear for your life, it's okay to run over a protester with your vehicle. And it's like, okay, if you fear for your life, I guess so, but just putting that out there is just to give an excuse for people to do it.
Right.
To hit and then just claim you feared for your life. It's Uncle Jimbo on South Park. It's coming right for us.
It's coming right for us. Yeah. They're coming right for us.
And then it goes on to say tens of thousands marched peacefully in Philadelphia, where organizers were holding their main event. Philadelphia was chosen as the hub because there's an indelible link between Philadelphia and between the freedoms and the ideals that the country was founded upon, said Joel Payne, spokesperson for Move On, which is one of the dozens of groups behind No Kings. And of course, Philadelphia we talked about this last week, Philadelphia is where the Reminder Day pickets were held every year leading up to Stonewall prior to Pride. Philadelphia is where they did those. And so this is a very, very Pride-centric way of holding a No Kings protest, is do it in June in Philadelphia. I mean, that's Pride is a protest, and we just had the biggest protest in American history during Pride Month, even if it wasn't specifically about LGBTQ plus communities. It, of course, in so many ways was. It was about anybody who's marginalized, about anybody who needs to be seen. And so that's kind of a cool thing about it, is to have done this in June and have the center of it be Philadelphia. It's very fitting.
Yeah.
Rolling Stone also covering. If you haven't been reading Rolling Stone lately, they've been a good read. They're one. Rolling Stone and Wired are probably the two biggest media platforms that have really stepped up to the plate to hold Trump and MAGA accountable. Oh, I may not be able to read this article anymore. I had a free preview, and now I don't.
Bum bum bum.
But we'll put the link in there for anybody who wants to go read the Rolling Stone account of things.
That'll be in the show notes.
Yeah, it was a fun article while I had it.
We should just start putting everything on social media for people to drive people to our social media.
Wasn't that what we do when we put it in the show notes?
I mean, they're getting to the links from the show notes. They're not going to our social media to get to those links.
Aha.
Although I think it's still a good idea to have them in the show notes, but you know.
I mean, we could do both, but yeah. So The Guardian has a story here: tear gas used to disperse anti-Trump protests across U.S. as it happened. So this was their blog from Saturday. Let's go show key events only. So this is The Guardian. It's another great resource. It's I believe The Guardian's from the UK.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah.
But here are the key events that happened on Saturday. So law enforcement agents in Los Angeles, Seattle, and Portland have deployed tear gas against protesters at some demonstration sites. Again, I didn't hear anywhere in our state about tear gas being used, but this is where I had read about Seattle being included on a list where they had tear gas people. And it seems, again, they are targeting LA, Seattle, Portland. I'm surprised San Francisco didn't get something like it too, because they're just saying, hey, let's have the disturbances here. Let's tear gas these people and they'll get blamed for it, and just say, hey, see, there's these liberal hellholes, and they're trying to spread a narrative.
These shithole cities.
Yeah. So Trump's controversial military parade unfolded without incident, though it was pushed due to weather concerns. And then this is something so that's just the whole news. Okay, this is not specific to just the protests, so I don't want to get ahead of myself here. But here's I'm going to combine these last two stories a little bit, but perhaps part of the reason for the low turnout for the parade is that TikTokers are claiming credit for Trump's parade attendance. Across social media, people claim to have reserved tickets. To have reserved tickets en masse to Trump's birthday parade with no intent of showing up.
Yep.
And last time this happened, Trump tried to ban the TikTok.
Yeah. I mean, I saw minimum of like 4 or 5 different TikTokers that say, hey, did you know you can buy a ticket to the parade and still go to the No Kings protest?
Yeah, it said in the middle of Donald Trump's birthday military parade on Saturday evening, an activist posted a video on the Meta platform, Threads, announcing that they had received more than 1 million views on a TikTok video advertising how to reserve tickets to the Trump parade event.
I probably saw that
The
video.
activists had no intention of attending the Trump rally, nor did many of the people that saw their video, but they were one of dozens of social media users across platforms who began circulating instructions in recent days for how to reserve tickets to the rally, even if you had no intention of attending it.
Yep.
So that's pretty great. And maybe that's why maybe that had something to do with the story you added here, which is the Craigslist ad for sharing.
Yeah.
This is great. A screenshot of an alleged Craigslist advertisement seeking seat fillers for an event in Washington, D.C. on June 14, 2025. And the purported ad read in part, T. Mellon's Events is looking for seat fillers and extras to provide their time for space maximization and attendance perception for an event taking place in Washington, D.C. on June 14th. Extras and seat fillers will check in on the morning of June 14th at 9 a.m. Extras are required to wear red, white, and blue clothing and will be provided a red hat to wear. Gold accessories are acceptable as well. The team will advise the extras where to stand or sit according to the line of sight from a VIP viewing platform area. Extras and seat fillers will be paid a flat daily fee and will be provided a lunch of fast food and soda. We encourage people of color and ethnic groups to sign up for maximum perception control. And these individuals will be prominently displayed on the televised broadcast and local viewing screens to be seen by the VIP platform. It also listed compensation as a flat fee of $1,000 paid in cryptocurrency provided by Fight LLC, which is Trump's meme coin company.
Yeah.
But this doesn't appear to be true, but it's excellent satire. Like, every bit of it is perfect. Just the fact that, like, you have to wear red, white, and blue, but gold is okay. And
no, the video I saw about this, they told you how to find the article, the post on Craigslist, how to find it. Do you think that the post was fake?
So the post was most likely a joke. Like, it was legitimately on there. The post was legitimately
on
there.
Okay. Oh, so it wasn't really them posting it. Yeah. Okay.
Right. So they've done this before. In fact, it happened even at the hands-off protest. People in my politics group, local, posted almost the exact same, a very similar screenshot as you would see in the tweets, saying looking for paid protesters for the hands-off protest.
Right.
Like, every single thing that happens, this kind of stuff comes up, and so it's not false, but what it is unproven.
Gotcha.
But this just reads like great satire because it's like, gold's okay to wear. We'll tell you where to sit based on where the VIP can see.
We want like, the king to see you.
We're gonna fill up the areas that Trump can see.
That's so funny.
Like, we're just gonna make you stand like right in his field of vision. Like, that'd be funny if they just put like a line of people at the front of the stage that he can't see over.
You know what they could have done, and he probably would have known any different, is if they had just a bunch of cardboard cutouts. You know, it's like, wow, Deadpool is here, along with Captain
Well,
Picard.
like they did during baseball games during COVID, just
Yeah,
fill in
except
a bunch of
instead
cardboard seat fillers.
instead of having like cardboard cutouts of real people, just get the cardboard cutouts you can buy at like the local nerd shop that sells like cutouts of like your favorite superhero or sci-fi person. You know, I think that'd be hilarious.
And then they're going to be given a lunch of fast food and soda. That's
Yeah. I would have gone just for that.
Crypto.
I would have gone just for that. I would have been like, I would have worn a red hat that said "Made you look," you know.
Right. So that's hilarious, though. I love that.
Yeah.
All right, so that does it on our deep dive into the No Kings and Parade talk. Todd, if you want to transition us into news of the week.
All right. Yes.
And now it's time for our weekly news. We're breaking down the key stories shaping our world, from policy shifts to the latest in global affairs. Let's dive in.
All right. Don't forget to change those slides, Todd.
I did. Yes. We are on the news slides now. Yeah. So yeah, what's in the news, Doug?
Yeah, so the thing that really kicked off this whole week, and like I was saying, just over a week ago, I wasn't so sure I was going to go protest this weekend. And then the stuff started happening in LA, and I felt like I had no other choice. So what really happened outside the Paramount Home Depot, the reality on the ground versus the rhetoric? So this is, of course, the event that led Trump to sending in the National Guard and despite all local authorities saying it was under control and there was no need for federal intervention, Trump decided to send in the National Guard, activate the Marines, put them on ready-to-go status, and took control away from the governor. Because usually when you activate the National Guard, the governor is in control of the National Guard, unless you're going to invoke the Insurrection Act, which specifically Trump did not do. So, from the Los Angeles Times, which, by the way, is owned by a Trump billionaire ally. If you recall, during the election, the LA Times declined to do any sort of endorsement because their editorial board was going to endorse Harris. And so they just nixed it, sort of like what Bezos did with the Washington Post. So the LA Times, again, a Trump-allied, fairly conservative newspaper, this is what they say really happened outside the Paramount Home Depot. It began as another Saturday morning at the Home Depot in Paramount, a working-class, predominantly Latino suburb south of downtown LA. Typically, the store that is nestled along the Los Angeles riverbed would be filled with weekend warriors, tackling home improvements, workers collecting supplies, and immigrants in search of work. But that morning, Border Patrol agents were spotted across the street from the Home Depot, gathering around 9 a.m. Word quickly spread on social media. Passers-by honked their horns. Soon, protesters arrived. Home Depot eventually closed. The clashes between authorities and protesters lasted for hours in both Paramount and nearby Compton, though it was far from widespread. The chaos covered the area directly around the Alondro Boulevard store, but it was enough to provide for dramatic TV video. And it was a major trigger for the Trump administration to send 2,000 National Guard troops to LA to deal with disturbances and assist in immigration actions. So what exactly happened? 2 LA Times reporters spent much of the day and night there Saturday. Here's what they saw. Before the crowds arrived, Assembly member Jose Luis Solache Jr., who represents the Paramount area that includes the Home Depot, was driving on the freeway on the way to a community event in neighboring Lakewood when he spotted a caravan of U.S. Customs and Border Protection vehicles exiting Alondra Boulevard. The street runs through the heart of the working class, a largely immigrant Latino community of Paramount. Solache Jr. turned around, thinking that they may be executing an immigration raid in his district, and he tracked them down to an office park. which is the Paramount Business Center across the street from the Home Depot. Federal law enforcement has a facility there in Paramount. Agents were still arriving there, and the black gate they would later guard with volleys of tear gas and flashbang grenades was open. Unclear why they were there, he decided to record a post for Instagram. I saw a border agent get off the freeway here off of Alundra. I was like, no, it can't be happening, he said in his Instagram post. It was around 9 a.m. This is horrible, he said on one of the posts. I am literally shaking. I don't know what they're doing inside, but why were they in Paramount? Word quickly spread on social media. Passers-by honked their horns. Soon, protesters arrived. This is the situation, Sulace, the assembly member said, turning the camera to show dozens of uniformed immigration and customs enforcement agents outside the black gates as people held up cameras to the scene and mariachi music blared. The community is coming out strong to show that they are not welcome in our community, said Solace, whose parents immigrated to the U.S. from Guanajuato, Mexico. Not in my district, he says. Vámonos pa fuera. Let's go. Get out of here. Outrage had been growing in Los Angeles and its Latino immigrant community after a week of stepped-up enforcement actions. The day before, federal officials raided a retail and distribution warehouse in the Fashion District downtown, a business directly fueled by immigrants, and they arrested a top union official. Leading up to the workplace raid, federal agents arrested immigrants as they came to scheduled check-ins or made courthouse appearances up and down the state, tearing apart families. One father was arrested in front of his 8-year-old son. Parent groups raised alarms after a Torrance Elementary student and his father were set up for deportation. For many, talking about deporting violent criminals didn't ring true. Quote Sulachi, this whole rhetoric of coming after hardworking families is what we are all concerned about. When you come to do raids at businesses, that is where the anger comes from. He said he and many others came out to observe and send a message that immigration...
Hold up.
began to turn darker as agents formed a line and brought out rifles. These rifles were for tear gas and perhaps rubber bullets. The protests arrived as word spread on social media of a raid at Home Depot or at a meatpacking place. There was never a raid at Home Depot, but dozens of Border Patrol agents and other federal agencies were inside a gated industrial office park where an initial crowd had gathered. Most protesters were filming. They were social workers, neighbors, and advocates. But near the gates, anytime federal agents saw the protesters throw anything toward them or near the police line, they shot out tear gas or flashbang rounds. There were about 100 people there. As the crowd grew, sheriff's deputies were deployed to block off a perimeter on the east and west near the 710 freeway. Protesters shouted at deputies, asking why they were helping. The crowds began to form as hundreds of rounds were shot in the late morning near the office park. Around noon, tensions grew as the agents attempted to clear the way for Border Patrol and other unmarked vehicles to leave the business park. They fired tear gas and flashbang grenades at demonstrators standing on Alundra Boulevard. When a caravan of federal vehicles departed from the gates, protesters followed them, throwing rocks and other objects. Shortly after they left, one protester brought out a trash bag and set it ablaze. A couple of others pushed a cart with concrete blocks from Home Depot, and they lined the road to block vehicles. One man smashed the block and spread the broken pieces on the road. Farther west along Alundra Boulevard, a crowd was gathering behind a perimeter set up by the sheriff's deputies near the 710 freeway. Then a U.S. Marshal bus pulled up to Alundra from the freeway. The crowd surrounded the bus trying to push it back, kicking at it until tear gas was shot. The standoff continued into the afternoon with protesters recording a line of sheriff's deputies equipped with shields and weapons at the intersection of Alundra and Hunsaker Avenue on the east perimeter. The crowd chanted, "ICE go home," and "No justice, no peace." Some people yelled at the deputies, questioning why they were out in force. At some point, deputies began shooting flashbang grenades at the crowd, forcing them to retreat. People became angered, cursing at deputies. At least one man was seen yelling at the deputies while recording them, "What the hell are you doing? Nobody's hurting you. Nobody's doing anything but making noise. Are you intimidating by effing noise?" One woman among the protest group appeared to be bleeding, and another man was treated for injuries. At least one person walked around with his shirt off his back bruised from foam projectiles that had struck him. In the distance, near the business park, demonstrators were setting off fireworks, and a billow of black smoke could be seen. Despite the use of tear gas and so-called less lethal projectiles, people returned to the intersection, screaming at deputies, mocking them at times. Around 4 p.m., the confrontation near Home Depot was declared an unlawful assembly, and officials warned protesters in Spanish and English to leave the area. By 7 p.m., about 100 protesters had gathered on the side of the 710 freeway near Atlantic Avenue and Alondra Boulevard, where some were lobbing rocks and bottles at the sheriff's deputies. They set at least 3 fires in the area, including a car that burned in the middle of the intersection. At some point, the deputies retreated back to the bottom of a bridge that runs over the 710 freeway and the Los Angeles River. Throughout the night, deputies and demonstrators engaged with each other, with demonstrators launching fireworks that exploded near the line of deputies and police vehicles. They used cars to drive towards the deputies in an attempt to scare them, prompting the deputies to fire rubber bullets, tear gas, and flashbang grenades at the vehicles. A sheriff's helicopter circled above throughout the evening, warning people they would be found and arrested and to leave the area after an unlawful assembly was declared. But the demonstrators continued, chanting and waving flags, while some in the crowd continued to throw things at the deputies. And again, I don't know at this point what the deputies are even doing there for.
Yeah.
Like they didn't conduct their raid. It sounds like they're there just to cause a problem. But it was nearing 9:30 p.m. when the line of deputies and vehicles began moving toward the crowd, forcing them to flee back to Atlantic Avenue and Alondra Boulevard. There, deputies continued to fire tear gas and flashbang grenades, sometimes at the direction of a gas station where protesters were standing. By midnight, demonstrators began to leave, ending a night of conflict between local and federal law enforcement officials and residents of Paramount. Federal authorities said some arrests had been made by agents. At least one video showed a woman being tackled to the ground and being carried away. Other videos showed 2 other people also being carried away by federal agents. Multiple arrests have already been made for obstructing our operations, FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino said. More are coming. We are pouring through the videos for more perpetrators. You bring chaos, and we'll bring handcuffs. But it sounds like the only one that brought chaos there were the federal agents. They started assembling across the street from the Home Depot, and there was obviously no communication with the local representatives, with the local community, with other community leaders. Nobody knew what ICE was doing other than obviously they had something up their sleeve planned. And so it rightfully brought out a counter, a counter protest, essentially, a counter assembly. And so the existence of this friction is what ICE is using to start tear gassing and doing crowd control work. And it's like, there wouldn't be a crowd here if you guys hadn't assembled here.
Yeah.
And so that's where that all started off at. And that's really what got this week kicked off. Unfortunately, the news only gets worse from there. Because after the week of LA demonstrations and the National Guard being brought in and the Marines being activated, we then ended the week with some actual political assassinations. Well,
yeah.
Attempted assassinations, one successful.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you probably heard about this, Todd, but Vance Belter, who's I don't know if you've seen the profile on this guy. He shot and killed. He attacked 2 different Minnesota lawmakers in Minnesota, and he killed one representative and her husband, and the other couple is in serious condition. Last I heard, it was optimistic that they would make it, but they were in serious condition. Oh, where's the other story? So this guy, so if you've seen the video of it, where the guy literally goes up in like a skin mask to like give himself an entirely different look,
yeah,
like something out of like Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
And
Crazy.
So Belter, 57, was arrested Sunday night in the city of Green Isle, Minnesota, where he lived, according to authorities. He's accused of killing one lawmaker and her husband and wounding another and his wife early Saturday. Officials said he left behind an apparent hit list with dozens of names in his car.
70 Democrat lawmakers and other private citizens.
Yeah, after exchanging fire with police outside the home of one victim and fleeing the scene. So that's the thing that's crazy to me, is he exchanged gunfire with police, with law enforcement, and still got away.
Yeah.
Like they
let him get away.
It seems like it, doesn't it? Like
yeah.
they they'll attack an entire community to get like one guy who stole something from a mini mart, but this guy's literally going on an assassination spree, and he exchanges gunfire, and they, where's the police helicopters? Where's the 5-star GTA response type stuff? Like, and then of course, so one of the people that was killed, I don't know why I don't have her full name here. Oh, Representative Melissa Hortman. So Hortman was the top Democrat in the Minnesota House, and her husband and her were both killed. Basically, Belter dressed as a police officer, and he went through the front door. Officers at the home saw Belter dressed as a police officer shoot an adult man through the open front door, according to a criminal complaint obtained by the Minnesota Star-Tribune. The suspect exchanged gunfire with police and ran into the house, ultimately disappearing from the area. Right away, right-wing media outlets were trying to say that this guy is some sort of crazed lefty because he's on a committee that was appointed by Tim Walz. But it was a nonpartisan committee, and this guy is unabashedly a MAGA supporter. His friend and roommate both, confirmed as much. He had a manifesto. He had names of something like 80 people or something like that, including Tim Walz, of people he wanted to assassinate. Most of them seem to have to do with being pro-choice. So if you were a pro-choice politician, if you were a doctor, he had doctors on his list.
Yeah.
The list included prominent lawmakers like Representative Ilhan Omar and Senator Tina Smith, as well as Planned Parenthood leaders. He also had flyers for anti-Trump protests in his car, raising fears that he may have intended to target the rallies. And the guy basically he owned some sort of private, I don't know if it's private military or if it's...
I don't know.
I'm trying to find... Oh, yeah, okay. So Bolter had worked as director of security patrols for Praetorian Guard Security Services, which provides random armed patrols of customers' properties, according to the company's webpage. Also suggests he could have access to uniforms and equipment that could aid in impersonating a police officer. And apparently Praetorian Guard Services are used by multinational companies like Nestle and stuff like that. So we're talking somebody that sets up, we don't know for sure what he did for them, but these could be the people that Nestle uses to go secure an area that has water that they want to steal. Or, go do modern day colonialism type stuff, or go disrupt this country, cause political unrest somewhere so that then we can get the right people elected in this country. If you look up the Praetorian Guard Security Services, you'll see some pretty fucked up shit. The firm was registered to his home address and listed a woman who was apparently his wife as the president and CEO. So the site advertised that the firm had police-type vehicles. Yeah, they said he had experience in foreign conflict zones. It said that he was involved with security situations in Eastern Europe, Africa, North America, and the Middle East, including the West Bank, Southern Lebanon, and the Gaza Strip. So he's basically involved in some sort of right-wing paramilitary security situation thing. So this gets really potentially deep. Like, if anybody wanted to go conspiracy theory on this stuff, there's a lot to trace. There's a lot of threads you can trace back and see what's really going on here. I mean, maybe that'd be something we can do in the future, but
yeah.
He also supposedly launched a Christian nonprofit called Revo Formation Ministries. So it's got this right-wing Christian nationalist paramilitary thing going on, which is really similar to Eric, Nancy DeVos's brother, Eric Prince, and the Blackwater stuff.
Okay. Yeah.
It's all very much in that line. And so now that he's finally been arrested, Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension Superintendent Drew Evans said Belter has been charged in the shootings and that the case will be reviewed for possible federal charges. He said had Brooklyn Park officers not confronted Belter at the house of Melissa Hortman's home early Saturday morning, he likely would have continued throughout the day. He was forced to abandon his plan. Evans said authorities were confident Belter acted alone in the violence he committed. He said Belter was armed when he was arrested. I don't know how you could be so sure he was acting alone when he owns and operates a entire securities service. Like,
I mean, I guess it depends on what all was done and could he have done it by himself or not.
Yeah, and it's just like why you wouldn't immediately think that there's, he's got 3 or 4 buddies all poised to start doing stuff elsewhere throughout the country or something like that. Like, but it is amazing to me that he got away at first.
Yeah.
But of course, this is what we're living in now.
Yep.
But last story for news of the week. It is, and I'll let you go into this more, Todd, because this is your day, not mine.
That's
but
right. You're one of those darn millennials.
But it's National Gen X Day.
Yeah, today, and I didn't know this until this morning. I was like, "What? We have a day? Oh, that's so nice." It says, when will National Gen X Day be celebrated? June 16th of every calendar year. This is according to, what is this website? NationalDayArchives.com. And I was, you know what it was? Is I did a search for what holidays are today on Google, and it brought this site up. I was like, oh, fucking sweet. And it was largely because I wanted to find out if was there no school today because the teenagers still home, and I guess they're going to be taken off to go to VidCon, which is a big YouTube streamer or.
Oh, why aren't we at that?
Because we're relatively new when we don't have much of a following. I mean, I have a following on here, but I don't think anybody's actually. I don't know. I mean, you can see the analytics and how well these videos are doing. So.
Well, what we got to do is we got to go there and show up like we're a big deal and just get.
Yeah, I mean, we could do that with more local events.
Fake it till you make it.
I can't afford to fly to Southern California and spend several days there, but anyways, this says what is National Gen X Day? National Gen X Day is a time to recognize and celebrate the often overlooked generation that has shaped modern culture in ways that continue to influence society today. Born between 1965 and 1980, Gen X it stands as the bridge between the analog past and the digital future, bringing unique blend of resilience, independence, and creativity to the world. This day is dedicated to honoring the nostalgia, achievements, and cultural contributions of Gen Xers everywhere. I didn't know that we had a national holiday, and it's not even like a recognized by the government or anything. But it's like Talk Like a Pirate Day or Talk Like William Shatner Day. These are days that people celebrate, but aren't like on the calendar of as of yet.
I don't get the day off work.
You don't get the day off. It's not a bank holiday, so I guess it was created this year. This is the first annual. This is brand fucking new.
We're at the ground floor.
Yeah, so I'm glad I caught it on opening day. So and there's a bunch more things said here, but it's all like let me read this. Why was National Gen X Day created? With the 77 million baby boomers having been in the spotlight for the last 80 years, and millennials and Gen Zs now getting all the attention. As the first of the Gen Xers turn 60, it's time for them to get some recognition. Despite our profound impact, Gen Xers are often overshadowed by the larger generations before and after them. National Gen X Day is being created to ensure that their contributions, whether in technology, entertainment, or social change, receive the recognition they deserve. It's a moment to acknowledge their role as the adaptable, self-reliant generation that shaped the modern world while maintaining an independent and sometimes rebellious spirit. Plus, this is inspired by a special person to me, blah, 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 blah. And it's, that person who's posted this. It's just their girlfriend or whatever. So, good for her. But yeah, so I am going to put this on my calendar to remind me every year this day going forward is being Gen X Day. We have a holiday. I'm definitely going to be letting other Gen Xers that I follow on social media know, hey, you guys, in case you didn't know, today is that day. And, yeah. So, alrighty.
Right on. Well, happy Gen X Day, Todd.
Thank you, sir. It's good to have another holiday for a white middle-aged male.
Yes. It's kind of hard being upper middle class and white.
I don't know if I'm upper middle class, but I'm.
No, we are not.
Not even close. I am poor. I am poor. I am so poor. Yeah. And I did want to say, yesterday I contacted Spotify because I noticed that, yes, on Spotify, our podcast is labeled as self-help, or was labeled as self-help. And I got a hold of somebody last night, and I was like, you know what? I changed it to news commentary, and it's not showing up on the public page for the Spotify page for the podcast. And they said, all right, well, let me verify a couple things, and then we'll go ahead and do this. And she's like, oh yeah, and I'm listening to it now. This is a cool podcast. It's like, well, because you helped out, I'm gonna give you a shout out. So Tanya, thank you for helping out. And
thanks, Tanya.
And it now registers as both news commentary and pop culture. So we should show up when people are looking in those categories on Spotify.
We're not just trying to get people that are looking for self-help. Oh God, what have we done?
I was like, these guys need help more than I do. What the fuck, That Todd guy, he sounds like he needs therapy.
We all need therapy.
But yeah, so that is that. So the next thing here,
we can take it to What's Geek this week.
Is Geek this week.
Welcome to What's Geek this week. Your go-to for the coolest in pop culture tech and nerdy news. Let's dive in.
All right, so yeah, I got a few stories that I pulled up here. Actually, I kept updating this list. I didn't want to make it too long, so I kept pulling things out and putting other things in once I found something to talk about. The first story here is about a superhero show that fell off after the single great season that came out 15 years ago today. And Save the Cheerleader, Save the World.
This one's near and dear to my heart.
And you know what? I remember when this show came out. The show was called Heroes, and Season 1 was fantastic. Well, about the time Season 2 was going to happen, there was a writer's strike. So, they had different people writing Season 2, and by the time Season 3 came around, the strike was over. So, the original writers tried to do damage control, so to speak. So, it was great first season. Second season was like, what are they doing? Why did they change this? And then season 3 they tried to like course correct and try to fix those things. And by season 4 the show is basically garbage. But it says here, despite this superhero show falling off just after one season, it would fit in perfectly in the modern superhero landscape, and it probably would have stayed watchable for a little longer while the heyday of the MCU may be behind us in 2025. It would be complete overreaction to say that the superhero era is ending anytime soon. There are still plenty of Super Marvel projects to come, and I feel like the DCEU has finally found its footing. What? This person who wrote this doesn't know that the DCEU ended with the last of the last DC movie that came out, which was The Flash was the last one, I think. Oh, wait, no, I take that back. It was the second Aquaman movie. That's what it was.
Okay.
So the next movie coming out is going to be the Superman.
Yeah, DCU finally found its footing in the grave.
Yeah. I mean, I liked parts of it. I mean, I think I'm one of the very few people that actually liked Ben Affleck as Batman and Bruce Wayne. I liked that version of the Bat. I thought that was awesome. He was a badass, and the fight sequences were like watching Arkham Asylum, and yeah. Anyways, this article says that TV shows like Peacemaker, Creature Commandos, Daredevil, Born Again, and have been instrumental in the genre's longevity. Okay, well, those shows that he mentioned have zero to do with DCEU. Those are all Marvel shows. Okay.
Well, other than Peacemaker, is it?
I mean,
from the.
Oh wait, yeah, you're right. Peacemaker is DC, and Creature Commandos is, but Daredevil is not. That's where I'm getting stuck. Okay. Creature Commandos and Peacemaker are DC, and Daredevil is Marvel. But it says even the TV shows that purport to mock the superhero craze, like The Boys and Watchmen, are still superhero shows at the end of the day, and can be enjoyed by fans and those who are exhausted by it all at the same time. This was by no means inevitable, though superhero TV shows and movies spent a lot of time stumbling around, trying to figure out what it was and the audiences wanted to see. One of these shows actually nailed it, at least for one season. That same show had come out now. It would probably have been more of a success. You know, I agree. I think if Heroes was to get a reboot right now, it would do a lot better. It did have another reboot about, I think, 3 or 4 years after.
Yeah, it did. The Heroes Reborn.
Reborn, I think. That actually, take that back. I think it was 2010, I think, when that came out.
I was going to say 2010, yeah.
So
yeah, I loved Heroes. The first season is amazing. It's basically like a grounded, realistic take on like rebooting the X-Men.
Yeah.
And it was done in a mysterious way, like where things would unravel and you'd find out new people with new powers and how this was coming about. And there's the eclipse that starts things off, and it was I was so in. And in fact, I loved it so much I ended up watching the whole thing. I ended up liking season 4 a lot. It's season 4 or season 5 where they have the actor. I don't know his name, but he's a really awesome actor who plays a Irish carny.
That was season 4. I thought. Did they have a season 5?
There was more than I thought there was.
I think there's only 4 seasons total. Because there's the first season, which was amazing. Season 2, which was like, why? Season 3 was trying to fix season 2, and then 3.
And then season 4 was all about
The carnies,
the cheerleader going off to college and the carnival thing.
And like,
what I loved about season 4 was it was a really great indictment of like how a popular charlatan gets power from collecting individuals, and the more people he can bring together, the more powerful he becomes. And I thought that was a nice cult leader type. It actually has a lot of parallels to Trump nowadays, but I don't think that's not who they were going for at the time.
Dude, anytime in the last few weeks, anytime I've watched Star Wars, any of the Star Wars shows where they're dealing with the Empire, I'm like, oh my god, the fascists it's like everything that the Empire is doing in the movies and in the shows is exactly what's going on right now with our government. It's crazy. So, and
I saw those memes that are like, oh, 30 and 40-year-olds are finally understanding why the Trade Federation and everything was so important in the prequels.
Right. I'm trying to find there because of the popularity of Heroes. There was a comedic songwriter, the great M.A.S.K. He had a couple different songs that referenced that show, and I'm trying to remember the name of the songs. One of which was let's see, compilations. There's more to this guy than that. Why is it okay? There is was it it was a parody of Looking for a Hero. Looking for a hero. Ba-da-da-da-da.
Oh.
And it was basically the character Hero from the show Heroes.
Yeah.
The little Japanese guy. Yeah. But
Hiro Yamamoto, I know his character. I know the actor from Scrubs as well. The cast of Heroes was stacked. I mean, you had Hayden Panettiere, you had the guy he went on to do the Rocky reboot as Rocky's son, and then he's the dad in This Is Us. I can't remember his real name. Milo something.
Milo, no, that's Fez. But yeah, his first name is Milo. I can't remember. His last name is very Italian sounding. So
yes. and then the guy who plays the bad guy in season 1 went on to become Spock.
Okay, I remember the name of this. I remember the name of this song. So the Great M.A.S.K. did a song called Spock Star, and it's all about Siler from Heroes, and mostly about the actor himself, and
Zachary Quinto is that his name?
Yeah, the actor's name is Zachary Quinto. If you go to lukeski.bandcamp.com, you will be able to listen to that song. I don't want to play it on here because I don't necessarily know if I can do that. But you can listen to all of Luke's music on his Bandcamp, and now I've been a fan of his since the early 2000s. He was a teenager when he started doing comedy music and doing song parodies. So a lot of his song parodies are really funny. Some of which I get the idea what he's trying to do, and sometimes those are cool and all, but yeah, some of them were not great. But overall, I enjoyed his music enough to buy the entirety of his catalog off of Bandcamp. He posted about it a couple years back. Hey, if you like my music, my entire catalog is available for purchase on my Bandcamp, and click on this and I went in there and I was like, I can get all of his albums for this much money, and it was like $45-50. And I was like, yeah, fuck, I'll buy it. I mean, I like maybe a total of 10 songs of the songs I've heard, but of the albums rather, not the songs. I like a lot of his music, but there's a few songs that were like, I get what he was trying to do, but it was not executed well. So, and I think those were also probably his earlier albums too. So
now before we go too much further here, we don't want to bury the lead on this thing. So what this story is getting to is that Heroes is returning.
Oh, is it? I didn't get that.
It does have a boot up. Yeah, so
nice.
This time as Heroes Eclipsed. Not much is known about this reboot series except that the original writer, Tim Kring, is returning, so that's a big deal.
Sweet.
And some characters from the original series have been teased to return. Whether it will be a soft or hard reboot is up in the air, but one thing I am sure of is that this is in this era of superhero TV shows, the Heroes reboot is going to find more success now than it did I hope so.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, yeah, I should have read the whole thing before I started like going off on a tangent. But yeah, no, that's cool, man.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that now because like when we were between shows here a couple years ago, I got my wife to watch the first season and we ended up watching the whole thing, all 4 seasons.
Yeah, I need to go back and rewatch it. It's been probably 10 years since I've seen any of it. I tried watching the second iteration, and I think I got 3 episodes in. I'm like, yeah, I don't like this nearly as much as I like the original.
Yeah, we did not watch the Heroes Reborn. We did not watch that.
I mean, it went back and you got to see like the cheerleader and her dad in a few episodes, and then you got to see Grunberg playing the cop again. And I don't remember what his special powers were.
He was like the main character of the new one was Matt. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he could read minds.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Like he got kind of big at that time too because he also had there was the Xbox 360 launch game that he was the main character of.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. I do know that he
Content,
had
Criminal Origins.
He had a podcast / TV show with Kevin Smith where they just did pop culture stuff. And
oh, interesting. That'd be I'd like that. I like both those guys.
Right. All right. Next story we have here is looks like hold up. Let me pull it back up. Hanna-Barbera is teaming up with Warner Brothers for a new animated series. Warner Brothers Animation and Hanna-Barbera Studios Europe are taking Gary Anderson's legacy to an entirely different level. The companies have announced that they will be working on a Hit Squad animated series, the espionage action comedy that will take audiences through an international adventure featuring a team of talented spies. The heroes of the story will be against hidden foes and dangerous villains. The title being described as a next generation Super Mario Nation.
Super Mario Nation? Yeah, I don't know what is Super Mario Nation.
So Gary Anderson's known for doing like the Thunderbirds and the other marionette TV shows of like the 60s and 70s.
Oh, so that's like what Team America was parodying.
Yes, exactly. And I vaguely remember watching Thunderbirds as a kid because it was in reruns when I was real little. I mean, I was a toddler when it was on TV, and I saw it again a few times over the years. Like, oh, I remember that, and I remember it being way cooler than it was because it was marionettes. And that's what Team America was making fun of, is the marionettes didn't always really do what they wanted them to do. So, like, the best sequence in my mind in Team America was the opening where the two guys are doing kung fu. And basically the marionettes are just flopping their arms around and kicking, and it looked ridiculous. It was funny as shit, though. Gary Anderson changed the entertainment industry with the use of marionette puppets containing electronic moving parts. Thunderbirds was the series that allowed the artist to make a statement in front of the entire world. The show followed an international rescue and the Tracy family, showing how they consistently utilized intelligent gadgets to save humanity years before Back to the Future and the modern incarnation of Doctor Who delighted audiences with visions of a bright future. The Thunderbirds were taking people to a world beyond their imagination. So, I mean, I didn't realize that Hanna-Barbera was still a thing. I was under the assumption that all of Hanna-Barbera was absorbed by Warner Brothers back in the late 90s, early 2000s when the company was bought by Warner Brothers. But apparently, Hanna-Barbera, was it Europe? No, yeah, Hanna-Barbera Studios Europe is a separate entity altogether, I think. That's what it sounds like anyhow. But I'm curious, is this gonna be animated, or it says it's an animated series, so maybe they're gonna kind of like make it look like it's marionettes? Like there was a resurgence of the Thunderbirds about 10 years ago that was like computer CG. They looked like the characters from the original show, which were all marionettes, but it was animated. So I don't know. We'll see. I guess depends on where it's coming out. It's probably going to be, I don't know. But yeah. No, yeah. If you've never seen Thunderbirds, I believe it's on Tubi, or if it's not on Tubi, it's on Pluto, and you can watch all of them there, I think.
Yeah, actually, it looks like you can get it on Fubo TV, Peacock, or Prime Video.
Okay. Well, it was on Tubi at one point. I haven't.
Yeah, I'm sure they all trade the license around.
The
and
licenses
so
have moved around. Yeah. So the next story here is
This is another exciting one, folks.
Spaceballs.
I never expected this to come.
Oh my God! So they dropped the teaser trailer for Spaceballs 2. They're not calling it the Search for Cash.
I kept seeing these posts that were like Rick Moranis is coming out of retirement for Spaceballs 2, and I was like, that's a lie. That can't be real.
No, that's real. It's 100% real. I'm one of the people that posted that. Like, oh my God! I was like so excited. Like, I'm still bummed that he didn't come back to play Louis Tully, but hey, we're gonna get him his Dark Helmet, so that's an awesome trade-off. But yeah, there's a couple things here that I wanted to talk about as far as Spaceballs 2. A lot of people weren't aware that there was a Spaceballs the TV series.
Oh, count me in that group. Yeah, I did not know.
Yeah, you'll want to do a search for it, because it's not available. I don't think it's available to stream anywhere for free right now, but you could probably buy it. It's only one season. It's probably on like Amazon. And you know what? Let me take a look real quick.
But just while you're looking that up, I'll note here that it's going to be directed by Josh Greenbaum. The screenplay comes from Benji Samit, Dan Hernandez, and Josh Gad, with Gad also pulling triple duty as co-writer, producer, and star.
Okay, so the Spaceballs TV series is available for purchase on Amazon, Fandango, and Apple TV. So as far as the entire series, I know each episode is $1.99, or if you want to buy the entire series, what is the cost? What is it? Go on. No, I don't want to buy it.
Shut up and take my money.
No, I don't want to buy it. It's not giving me an option to...
It's free.
Available to buy. Well, I guess you can buy them individual episodes. That usually they give you an option to buy the whole series, but it's not letting me do that. What the hell? All right. Anyways, you can buy it on those platforms, and I think at the very least buy the first episode for $2, and if you like it, buy the rest of them, because as I remember, it was on Fox, I think, on TV, and then it was on Hulu for a long time, and then it disappeared entirely. So, but this is what it says here: everything we know so far about the Schwartz Awakens, which is what they're calling this second movie. After nearly 4 decades of fan speculation, internet jokes, and wishful thinking, it's finally real. Spaceballs 2 is officially happening, as reported yesterday by us, with the first teaser, us being geeksaresexy.net. And great website. Lots of cosplay photos.
Is this some sort of gooner site you got me on?
No. I don't think so. The film is now confirmed.
Any site's a gooner site if you're desperate enough.
Right? I mean, if it's something you're into, right? Rule 34 of the internet: if it exists on the internet, there's a porn version, no exceptions. That's a real thing, folks. The film is now confirmed to be titled Spaceballs 2: The Schwartz Awakens, and it's heading to theaters in 2027, just in time to celebrate its 40th anniversary. The 40th anniversary of Mel Brooks' original sci-fi parody masterpiece. Stepping behind the camera is Josh Greenbaum. The screen, as Doug said all these things already, I'll go ahead and skip that. And it says here, speaking of Brooks, he's back at it at 98 years old.
That's insane.
Right?
98.
I remember hearing him on his very first podcast interview. And in the first 15 minutes or probably 20 minutes is him asking about, are you making money with this? How do you make money with a podcast? How hard is it to do this? Can I do this? And he's like, not really. You kind of can. Sure. And if you really want to.
I think if anybody wanted to just start a podcast and instantly start making money off of it, I think Mel Brooks is one of the people that could do it.
I think if he was to do like radio play type stuff, he could easily make a killing off of subscription based podcast. So
I think if he just sat down and was like, okay, today I'm going to talk about the process I had making this movie, and then another episode he does another movie.
You know what?
I think people would listen to that. It might already be a thing.
Just him talking about whatever's going on, or like if he was to be one of those guys who would sit on his porch and just tell you stories about when I was your age, I would absolutely subscribe to this. Mel on his porch, yeah. But it says here...
Porch Melly.
Meanwhile, back at the podcast, it says here, the comedy legend is donning the gold robes once again as Yogurt, his gloriously merch-hungry parody of Yoda, despite not writing or directing this time around. Brooks will appear in the film, bringing his signature comic timing and fourth-wall breaking charm to a whole new generation of fans.
It is interesting to think that we're finally getting a Spaceballs 2, and Mel Brooks is going to be in it, but he's not writing or directing it.
To be fair, he was only like an executive producer of History of the World Part 2, and he had like a small like on-camera role in that as well. So, I heard someone say that if they do not have a parody of Grogu and they don't call him Gogurt, they're gonna be upset. I'm like, oh my god, this shit. Grogurt, yeah, Gogurt, yeah.
Yogurt and Gogurt.
Yeah.
Let's call him Baby Yogurt.
Baby Yogurt. No, we ain't gonna call him Grogurt. We're gonna call him Baby Yogurt. Yeah, that's funny. And then it goes on to saying, for even more exciting for longtime fans, Rick Moranis is returning as Dark Helmet. Yes, that Rick Moranis, who spent most of the last few decades out of the spotlight. The fact that he's back for this project says a lot about the script, the cast, and the sheer gravitational pull of the Schwartz. Alongside him is Bill Pullman, who reprises his role as the scruffy, reluctant hero Lone Star.
This is how badly I get Bill Pullman and Bill Paxton messed up in my head. Same. That like my immediate reaction was like, wait, I thought Bill Pullman died. Yeah. And it's like, no, wait, no, that was Bill Paxton.
Paxton, yeah. I mean, his character was basically Paxton's character from Aliens 2, I think it was. Game over, man. Game over.
Game over, man.
So I guess Pullman's son is also going to be part of it as well. But I saw that someplace else, not in this article.
That's the next slide.
Oh, is it? There it is, Louis Pullman. Okay. New faces joining the fun too. Keke Palmer signed on as an undisclosed role, and Bill Pullman's real-life son, Louis, is also on board as a cast for a mystery part that already has fans speculating wildly. Could he be the next generation of Lone Star? A new Prince Valium? You know the guy who plays Prince Valium is still alive. He should appear as King Valium.
Now, Louis Pullman's going to play Sentry, of course.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it makes sense.
Bring him in.
Yeah.
It's a crossover with the MCU.
That would be great.
It's going to tie into Secret Wars.
So, I mean, if you haven't watched the trailer for this, it basically makes fun of the Star Wars crawl. It also makes fun of sequels and prequels and more sequels and prequels of sequels and sequels of prequels and TV shows based on sequels and TV shows based on prequels and more prequels based on sequels and sequels based on prequels. And, the video is, I think, like 30 seconds long. So it was just a long list of and it was in blue, like a baby blue text. It wasn't like Star Wars had yellow, so they had to have it different, I guess. So, but yeah, no, and I think Josh Gad actually had something to do with the History of the World Part 2 as well. I think he was also like a writer or a producer or something on there. It says the film.
He's apparently the Mel Brooks protege.
I mean, I'm not upset about that. To be honest, initially when I first saw Josh Gad, he played some really obnoxious like nerd types, like the know-it-all nerd who like is aggressively know-it-all, and so I really didn't like him for the first 2 or 3 movies I saw him in, and then I saw him. What did I see him in that it changed my mind about him? It wasn't a movie. It was I reluctantly watched one of his. During the pandemic, he was doing a live stream every few weeks with a cast of a popular TV show or movie, and did a reunion, and this raised money for charities. And
is that like when they did the Princess Bride thing?
That's exactly what I'm talking about, because that was one of the ones he did. He did the Princess Bride, and that kind of turned into them doing a home movie version.
A home movies version. Okay.
Yeah. So, and
because that was fun.
He also did Back to the Future, and he also did.
I know he really broke onto the scene with the Book of Mormon, which I still haven't seen.
I haven't seen it either, and I would absolutely love to see it because I love South Park, and I absolutely could not tell enough people about Orgasmo, because that was a movie those guys did. Right out of college, I think. It was like their first movie. The first movie they did in college was a college project, which was then released through Troma, called Cannibal the Musical. And
yes. I saw a clip from that. Maybe you showed it to me.
Oh man, so fucking funny.
I couldn't believe how it's like damn, he can actually like Trey can actually sing.
Oh dude, he's an amazing singer. Actually, all of them are really good singers. If you haven't seen the 25th anniversary show for South Park, it was a concert at Red Rock, and they did all the songs from South Park.
Nice. I did not see that.
Yeah, you should definitely check that out. Anyways, I think that's good enough. I mean, we're all excited about Spaceballs 2: The Schwartz Awakens, and I cannot wait to see it. It is definitely going to be one of those things. It's going to be, I'm going to have money set aside to be able to watch it, because I generally don't have money to go see movies anymore. Let's see here. The next thing I had here was coming next month on I think it's 40th anniversary? Yes, just in time for the 40th anniversary, the 1980s favorite M.A.S.K is back with brand new toy line courtesy of the Loyal Subjects, and pre-orders are opening up soon in July. Comicbook.com debuted your first look at the relaunch of the M.A.S.K line, and now we've got your exclusive first look at the snazzy new packaging for the M.A.S.K debut wave. Basically, it looks exactly the same as the original, I think. I think I'm going to have to buy at least one. I don't know if I'm going to be able to afford any of them, because it being a 40th anniversary, I'm sure they're going to be inflated prices. Never mind that the fact that they're probably made in China and will be imported, so tariffs will take all of my money on that. I have 2 or 3 of these to this day. Actually, in the last 3 years, I bought 2 of them at various conventions I've been to. One of which was Thunderhawk, which is the Camaro Z28 with the gull-wing doors. I don't have the action figure for it, but I have the car, and I have the Bronco. I don't remember the name of that one, but and I almost bought Condor, which was the crotch rocket motorcycle, the yellow
helicopter.
It turns into like a personal helicopter, yeah. And I want to get that one again. I want to get all of them actually, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to afford it, depending on how expensive these things are. It doesn't say, and the Big Bad Toy Store is going to have them. So if you're not familiar with Big Bad Toy Store, it is an amazing website, and they will take all of your money for your childhood. I originally found this website 20 years ago, and I bought a MP3 player that was a transformer. It was Soundwave, and it was an MP3 player. It looked just like the original toy. There were some slight differences, and it transformed like the original toy. But the only difference was instead of having the space for the tapes cassettes to go in his chest, it had a slot there for a mini SD card slot, and which is now it's obsolete. In fact, you'd have to find a micro to mini converter in order to put anything on it. And all the instructions were in Japanese, so I didn't know how it worked. I had it. I ended up selling it. But anyways, this website is awesome. If you've never been to bigbadtoystore.com and you like you're of a certain age and you want to reacquire some of the toys you had as a kid that you no longer have, or you want one that you can keep in a box even though you still have the original, you can buy them here. You're going to be paying a lot of money.
No doubt.
Yes. All right, back to the stories. I think I'm getting a little brain fog because it's warm in here. I should turn my fan back on. I got a little worried that my fan was too loud. All right, I turned that back on. The next story here is Cartoon Network. Apparently, a Cartoon Network animator is talking about maybe a revival of his show. And it was a show that I was only mildly aware of when it was on air, but found it years later, and I was like, this is a great show. Why did this go away? The show is called M.A.S.K XLR, and it's about this guy from New Jersey who finds a giant... he finds a giant M.A.S.K in, like, the local, like, dump. A giant, was it those Pacific Rim, like those, or
like a Megazord.
Like a Megazord from Power Rangers. Yeah, I wasn't thinking Megazord because I was never a Power Rangers guy, or even like the Voltron. So what he does is he finds that the body of this M.A.S.K, which is like 60 feet tall, and he puts I think I want to say it's like a GTO, or it's a muscle car either way. It may have been a generic looking muscle car. So he replaces the head of the robot with this muscle car and wires in a PlayStation controller to control the robot side of the thing.
So he's like he's doing like an Ocean Titan thing.
Except for this actually works, and well, more often than not, it works. And I don't know. It's the actors. I don't remember all the. I think the main actor was one of the DeLuise brothers, and in the photo, the guy with the black hair is Steve Bloom, I think. So it's a great cast of people. I hope it does come back. It was. Let me read the article. I'm sitting there going on about this show, and I should just read the story. Throughout the history of Cartoon Network, the Cable Network has given animation fans quite a few gems that failed to have lasting longevity, despite many fans' desire for the stories to continue. Prime example of this was M.A.S.K XLR in 2004, the series that focused on two New Jersey burnouts who discovered a mech suit that must be used to protect Earth. While the original series gained 2 seasons, many fans were hoping to see more of Coop, Jamie, and Kiva. Unfortunately, not only has M.A.S.K XLR revival not been confirmed, but it appears as though the series creator came exceptionally close to bringing back the cult favorite. A fan-made YouTube channel titled "The History of the Mostly Forgotten M.A.S.K XLR." The co-series creator Jody Schaefer took the chance to comment on the series while he thanked the video creator for making the breakdown. Schaefer dropped the bomb regarding the potential revival, Thanks for the shout out. Feels good knowing we aren't completely forgotten. Fun fact, due to international sales and iTunes, M.A.S.K made its money back. We got greenlit for a reboot a few years ago. Then David Zaslav took over. Oh, I can see where this is going. Fuck David Zaslav. When he took over WB and shut down the whole thing all over again. Wait, that fact isn't fun at all. Yeah, fuck that guy.
So it's not coming, apparently.
I hope things like us talking about it and this article will maybe reignite some things now that Zaslav is like split up the company again.
Yeah, and we're getting HBO Max back, and HBO's coming back. Yeah. Apparently, this article is based on a Secret Galaxy video. So check out Secret Galaxy, everybody.
Yeah. I'll have to subscribe to that channel. There's a bunch of different shows that came out around that time. That this one was a cool one, and then SWAT Cats was another one. And a couple of years ago, I got to meet one of the actors who was in that, and he was also one of the original 4 Ninja Turtles from the '87 cartoon. And I was like, "Wait, you were in that too? God, I love that show. I've been rewatching it recently." He was like, "How are you watching it? It's not anywhere on the internet." It's like, it's on the Internet Archive. I mean, it was at the time that I told him this. I don't know if it's still there or not, but he goes, "I don't know if it's there, put there by Warner Brothers or whoever, but I watched it there." And I go, "If it's not supposed to be there, I'm sorry." I watched it. It was awesome. I really liked the show. I wish it would come back. But,
sorry for watching your show.
I mean, sorry for watching a bootleg. It was like I would much rather have watched it where he got residuals for it. You know what I mean? I felt bad for watching a bootleg and telling the guy that I watched a bootleg. So, all right. So back to the Word doc here, and Netflix previews Ghostbusters animated series at A.S.K. Is that how that's pronounced? A.S.K?
I don't know. I see the word. I don't know.
It's A-N-N-E. Where'd it go?
It's an invented word for some sort of convention or show.
I think it's a name of a convention of some sort. It says the annual A.S.K. International.
Some nerds we are.
It's an international animation festival that happened in France. So maybe it's a French word. And Netflix held a jam-packed studio-focused presentation highlighting the upcoming slate of animation projects. Among the announcement, one of the most exciting for Ghostbusters fans and was teased for the franchise's highly anticipated return to animation. Presented by Netflix's director of original animation, Dominique Bazet, the upcoming Ghostbusters series being developed in partnership with Sony Pictures Animation and Ghost Corps. Speaking to attendees, Bazet shared, "This is Ghostbusters like you've never seen it," while also confirming Netflix is working closely with Flying Bark Productions in Sydney, I'm assuming Australia, as well as a new team in Madrid. Okay, this is cool. Beyond these early visuals, which were shown exclusively to those at the presentation, and further confirmation of Flying Bark's involvement, not much else is known about the project. There is currently no premiere date or release window set, and fans hoping for a trailer or footage will likely have to wait a bit longer. As previously reported, Ghostbusters Afterlife and Frozen Empire filmmakers Jason Reitman and Gil Keenan serve as executive producers, while the show's showrunner and fellow EP, Elliot Kalin, best known for Mystery Science Theater 3000 and the Flophouse podcast. This week's NC event also reinforced the close ties between new Ghostbusters series and Netflix's wider animation slate. In fact, the upcoming animated spin-off of Stranger Things, Tales from 1985, or Tales from 85 rather, was revealed to have drawn major influence by the real Ghostbusters. Executive producer Eric Robles called the classic 80s cartoon his team's North Star, highlighting its perfect mix of silliness, occasional darkness, and guiding influence for the Stranger Things animated spin-off. Stay tuned to GhostbustersNews.com for further updates. Blah, 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 blah. I was hoping that there was going to be some release dates, damn it. This is,
Foiled again.
And Doug is like, you should just read these beforehand. It's like, the problem is I will read those things and forget everything I just read 10 minutes afterwards. So that's why I read it cold on air. So I get the same information you guys get, folks. All right.
It's always a nice little journey to see where the story's going to go.
and Doug is like reading ahead. He's like, oh, I hope he gets to this. I hope he gets to this.
I hope he knows that this turns out to be a bad thing.
It's not as cool as you thought it was based on the title of the article. All right, so now we're going to move on to That's Some Weird Shit.
That's some weird shit, where we dig up the craziest, quirkiest stories that make you go, what the heck just happened? Buckle up, it's about to get weird.
As this segment progresses, I get fewer and fewer strange stories. I'm having to dig really deep into the internet to find stuff. I've been utilizing Reddit mostly, and then sometimes I use the blogs that I have pinned in my Feedly list. So the first one here is apparently police have warned people that were going to the Download Festival, which used to be called something else back in the 80s. It was Donington. That's what it was. It was the Donington concert series, which was basically either I think a week-long or a weekend-long heavy metal series of concerts. So think of like Ozfest, but like exclusively at the same place every year and only that place every year. Police issuing mosh pit warning ahead of Download Festival in Leicestershire. I don't know how to pronounce that word. That place where the Download Festival takes place. You can Google it.
Leicestershire.
Is that how it's pronounced?
Sure.
It's like Worcestershire.
Well, we don't have that, so.
Yeah. Police are warning rock fans this weekend at Download Festival about the potential for accidental calls while in the mosh pit. The local police issued an alert ahead of the event at Donington Park, at Donington Castle even, which begins on Friday. Posting on Facebook, the force said previous years they received a rise in nearly 700 extra emergency calls. Over there it's 999. We have 911, but they have 999. Caused by the energetic dancing at Download. The tech assumed that people in the mosh pit had been in a collision, causing the emergency contact number to be called and abandoned calls. So basically, leave your phone in your car, folks. Or don't take it with you when you go to the Download Festival. Or have someone hold your shit while you're in the mosh pit. I mean, do phones I guess they could accidentally hit the emergency call button if it's locked, right?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times it's just like you press the lock button too many times and it does it.
Okay. Because I know on my Android phone it has the emergency call button on it.
Don't mosh with a phone in your pocket. You're just going to break your phone or hurt yourself or something.
Yeah. I mean, that would be my concern. Is like, if I have my phone in my pocket, it's going to get destroyed.
No, the phone should go in your fanny pack, and the fanny pack can be tied under your chair.
Or have someone who's not up for moshing at this point in the show to watch your shit. Yeah, don't take it with you. Or if this venue has lockers to put your shit away so you don't have to worry about your shit going walkabout. So yeah, I saw that, I was like, oh, that's kind of funny. I mean, and then like the people outside are like, why are all these ambulances showing up? We got in a report there was a collision over here. And it's like, this is a concert. There's people like slam dancing and moshing. Do they even call it slam dancing anymore? Probably not. I'm aging myself at this point. So.
Well, it's National Gen X Day. You're allowed to do that today.
That was the original name for moshing, was slam dancing, folks. Because that's what you did. You were bouncing off each other. You were running into people.
It was a cool way for guys to dance with each other without it being gay.
It was a good way to dance and get the excess energy out, man. You don't understand, man.
You can't just go up to a guy and be like, dude, you want to dance? But if you just run and jump and throw your whole body into him,
I mean,
now he better dance.
It's like, and it's not like I wanted to beat the guy up, but I definitely wanted to hurt him, you know? And what's really funny...
I just wanted him to feel me.
What's really funny is the average person who's never been to a heavy metal show thinks that mosh pits are just inherently violent and everyone gets hurt. Some people get hurt because they don't know any better and those around them don't help them. But for the most part, every time I've ever been to a mosh pit, anybody who's fallen to the ground has been immediately picked up and like, are you okay? Are you hurt? Do you need anything? All right, cool. Let's get back to the pit. That's how it's always been. In fact, the last time I was in a mosh pit was in a small venue here in Seattle, South Seattle, called Lucky Liquor. And they had a really great thrash metal band. These guys were all in their 20s. They're fucking amazing. And I got into this circle pit, which is basically a mosh pit that everybody's running in circles. It's just one giant circle, and then the occasional person will cross over the circles to the other side, and that's when you get bounced into and knocked over. Well, I was doing that, and someone did like a football tackle, I think, because they put their arms up like they're blocking, and they kind of came at me and they pushed up when they hit me, so I got knocked up off my feet. I went up in the air, and all I remember is like going backwards and then falling on my ass. And like, luckily for me, I did not bounce my head or anything important off the cement floor.
Yeah, that's dangerous.
My lower back hurt for like 2 weeks after that, but that was the extent of my hurt. Maybe my pride was hurt a little bit more. But that was the extent of it. All right, next story, man. Come on.
Anytime you hit the floor, though, when there's people running around, like you hit the floor, that's dangerous.
I mean, especially at small venues like that, they don't.
That's how people get trampled.
They don't
like
get what
concerts and shit. Yeah.
That's in a mosh pit. You're never gonna get trampled because people will see you fall and then grab you, pick you up. You know. So, okay. So this next story was one that actually made me laugh at the title of it. TSA is urging people to stop trying to use their Costco card as a real ID. Folks, yes, you have a black and white photo of your mugshot on your Costco card, but that is not a valid ID.
I think the airlines and stuff like used to take a Costco card for certain IDs.
Really?
Because Costco is that tough about giving out their IDs.
I mean, not really. I mean, you don't have to give them your state ID when you get your Costco card. You just give them money and they take your photo.
I'm trying to remember what we had to, because I finally got my own Costco card through my wife's work, and
nice.
I had to go down there. I had to provide them some stuff. I'm trying to remember what all we had to do, but there was a time where a Costco ID would work for lots of things.
Well, I mean, I just know from the times I've gone to Costco, I don't remember them asking for my driver's license. But it's very possible they did, and I just don't remember because it was so unimportant to me. You know, being
well, and it would have only been like the very first time you signed up.
Yeah, and that was, you know what? My first Costco card was on my mom's account, and I was a teenager, so I probably didn't need to give any ID because my mom did. So, and then when I opened my own account, it's like, I have this card. Can I make this my own account? Because my mom is no longer with us and her account is no longer active. And they're like, yeah. So that's how I got my card. But this is what this
You
says.
backdoored it. You
I
backdoored it.
Yep. I did it. I did a cornhole. Corn. It says the TSA is expressing frustrations with travelers who are not providing proper real ID to fly. On a Facebook post Wednesday, the TSA made it known that Costco membership cards is not an acceptable identification. We love hot dogs and rotisserie chickens as much as the next person, but please stop telling people their Costco card counts as a real ID, because it absolutely does not. The TSA
People
wrote,
won't believe anything.
I mean, it's got to be like places like Florida or like someplace in the South where
This is my Costco ID.
It's
That's
got
a
my
real
face
ID.
on
it's
it.
Real. It's a real ID.
It's got
actual
my
ID.
name and
real.
my
It's not fake.
face.
It's not a fake Costco card.
Starting May 7th, most adults catching a flight in the U.S. are now required to present either a passport or an upgraded identification card that meets federal Real ID standards. According to the Associated Press, the requirements is 20 years in the making. A Real ID is a driver's license or other state-issued ID that meets security requirements mandated in 2005 law passed in the aftermath of September 11th, 2001 terrorist attacks. In most cases, Real ID are designated with a white star and a yellow circle. Real IDs have been available for years from the DMV. People who didn't get one by May 7th still can apply. The Department of Homeland Security website links to information in each state's on scheduling appointments and lists the documents needed. When I got my enhanced driver's license, which is definitely considered a Real ID, I needed to have a copy of my birth certificate and social security card and a valid either state ID or driver's license. So that's how I got
And you
mine.
didn't show them your Costco card? You weren't like, what about this?
I mean, no, because I think at that point my Costco card didn't even have my photo on it. I mean, I think the same year that I got that driver's license is when I last updated my photo on my Costco card, and I swear to God, I've lost some weight, or I've always looked like Chum-Li from Pawn Stars. Because that photo, my head looked like a fucking pumpkin, man, and it was. I had as people have seen on this video, I don't have my front teeth anymore, and it's part of the reason why I have trouble with some words. Back then, I still had teeth, but if I was to if my head was that big still to this day, I'd be like, I really need to lose some weight, because when I saw how big my head looked on that photo, I was like, did you guys stretch the image? Like, no.
Well, nothing looks worse than a Costco photo.
I mean, except for maybe like a work ID, which is it's basically the same thing.
Same thing.
It really is, because my ID card from when I worked at Earthlink, the camera for taking our photo was on the ceiling, so I had to look up at the camera, and which always makes you look like a mugshot. So, but
a higher angle is better than a lower angle.
Yeah, it definitely.
So I'm like,
I don't know what the angle was for Costco, but
better.
It made my head look
handsomer now.
Massive. I looked like a jack-o'-lantern on a stick. So, all right. So the last story I have here, I grabbed it because it's like, wait, didn't they used to do these meetings someplace in the Midwest at a private private property someplace? The annual shadowy Bilderberg Group takes place in Sweden this year. Because, yeah, I could have sworn that they used to do those, at some like billionaire's compound out in the middle America. It probably says that here in the article.
You have to explain to me what this Bilderberg thing is again.
So, for those who you don't know, the Bilderberg Group is what is people think is the shadowy organization that runs our country, also known as the Illuminati.
See, I thought it was BlackRock and State Street.
I mean, those guys are probably all part of it too. I mean, it's the Illuminati has always been like the shadowy, group of people who make hey, we're gonna do this with this and that and the other, and we're gonna get rid of that and this and that and the other kind of thing. So
the first time I smiled or laughed after Trump got elected the first time was an Emmett Montgomery Facebook post that just said in all caps, "This is a horrible way to find out the Illuminati aren't real."
The Illuminati. So yeah, it says the meeting took place at the Grand Hotel in Stockholm. The event, which has taken
By the way, this already is sounding like the setup of a Wes Anderson film.
Probably. This is which has taken place almost every year since 1954, remains shrouded in mystery and intrigue. Originally intended to enable dialogue between Europe and North America, the group, which is comprised of some of the world's most powerful politicians, bankers, and business owners, has become synonymous with stories of shady dealings and clandestine government agendas.
The room where it happens.
Adding to the mystery surrounding the group's annual meetings is the fact that no cameras or journalists are allowed inside, meaning that everything that is discussed remains private. So it's basically like going to Vegas. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. This year's meeting, which took place yesterday, was attended by NATO General Secretary Mark Rutte, Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella, and U.S. Military Commander Christopher Donahue. According to the reports, the meeting aimed to address topics such as situation in Ukraine, artificial intelligence, transatlantic relations, and distribution of valuable rare minerals. And I don't know. If you go onto conspiracy theory websites and search for this group, you'll Bilderberg.
Bilder.
Yeah. It says here, as things stand, it remains unclear just how impactful the Bilderberg meetings actually are to global events, with some playing down their significance and others maintaining they are secretly more influential than many world governments. Suffice to say, it is unlikely we'll ever know exactly what goes on at these events after the doors have closed. I remember seeing an article about a guy who snuck into one of these things and took photos, and apparently they have like a ritual sacrifice and things of that nature. Now, the ritual sacrifice, as presented by this article, was that it was a mock sacrifice. It wasn't a real sacrifice. It was a play, so to speak. And but apparently they used to do actual sacrifices, and every time you see like a secret organization in a movie that is like wearing robes and carrying torches,
like the Stonecutters.
Yeah, exactly, like the Stonecutters. It's based on this group, or the rumors of.
Well,
what this group
it's all
is.
kind of it's all very reminiscent of a typical fraternity club.
Yeah,
like the
yeah.
Freemasons.
Yeah. And I think that's how it started, is a variant on the Masons. And
that would make sense.
Because it was all like leaders of countries and corporations and stuff, that it became this super secret, and that if you weren't like a top CEO of a Fortune 500 or whatever kind of company, you weren't invited. You had to be invited to. You would, just because you had a bunch of money didn't mean you were going to be able to go. You had to be
Right.
invited. And,
It's a club.
Yeah, it's a private club, and
Yeah, it's a private club, and people of high influence are part of it. So they're obviously going to discuss things here that end up having a play when they get out of the meeting as well. Like they definitely, like there's something to the fact of any time powerful people get together privately. I mean, but is it more world changing than when Justice Alito hosts a guest at his dinner and they conspire to get Roe v. Wade overturned?
yeah.
Is it? I mean, it's the same type of stuff that we're.
Yeah,
concerned
it's you know it does definitely smack of like a dude bro gathering with a bunch of
Yeah.
guys who wear their hats backwards, and
But it's an elitist. It definitely is an elitist
yeah,
cabal that gets to privately,
yeah,
canoodle with each other, and who knows what comes of it, if anything.
yeah. Like I said, go on that down that rabbit hole of the Bilderberg Group on YouTube or on Google. You'll find all kinds of interesting stories. Whether or not they're true is really the question, but still interesting stories. And I've always maintained that conspiracy theories always make for the best science fiction. It doesn't have to be great storytelling; it just has to be entertaining.
There you go. Isn't that our news culture these days?
Pretty much, yeah.
Doesn't matter if it's factual or right or good. It just has to be entertaining.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think that is it for today, folks. And
we are trying to be informative and factual, and we're trying to be anything but entertaining here on this show.
I did want to play a clip here real quick and see if I can pull this up on my phone.
This better not be entertainment.
No, it's not. No, it's just it's a thing that I forgot to put on the board. I was like, oh yeah, I was gonna do this too. Where is it?
Is it something that reminds
And
people to like and subscribe?
Yes. Let's see.
Cool.
Just a reminder, if you're enjoying the show, don't forget to support us, hit that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe for more. Your star ratings and reviews help others discover our podcast, so take a moment to share your thoughts. We appreciate you, and let's keep the conversation going.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. You leave us any comments on the YouTube channel or anywhere else that allows you to leave a comment, and we will answer it the next week.
Absolutely.
So far, we have not had nobody. And I know there's at least a handful of people listening at this point.
Yeah,
So,
if we know you and you subscribe to the show, we expect you to at least comment on at least one thing. Like, if you heard something that me
do
or Doug,
your part
yeah, come on,
and comment on the damn stream.
we know that you're listening. So if you heard something that like you have something to say to me or Doug about, don't come to us directly. Comment on this video or on this podcast episode, whether it be the YouTube channel or on Spotify, where you can leave comments or even on Podchaser, you can leave comments in there too. So
Yeah, we will not be answering any questions about the show in real life. They got to go through the internet algorithm.
yeah. All right.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening. Another great week. We'll see you next week.
Sounds like a plan. Bye, guys.